What if the real enemy you face isn't out there, but hidden within your own mind? Did you know that Buddhism, often seen as a path of peace and meditation, features a figure sometimes compared to the devil? This isn't just a simple demon. This is Mara, the closest thing Buddhism has to Satan. But unlike the singular adversary in some Western traditions, Buddhist teachings describe Mara as not only a powerful entity, but also as having 3 seductive daughters who specialize in different types of temptation. These aren't just characters from ancient myths. These powerful, even psychological, forces are working right now to subtly influence us, potentially trapping us in cycles of suffering without us even realizing it. Today, we're diving deep into this fascinating part of Buddhist tradition to truly understand Mara, described in texts as the Lord of Death and Desire, the King of Distraction, Buddhism's ultimate villain. We'll also meet his daughters, Tanhā, Arati, and Rāga, who represent some of the most powerful temptations humans face. The truly wild part? Their tactics, developed over 2,500 years ago, are just as effective today, even amplified by our modern world and our smartphones. Knowing how to spot these ancient temptresses in our daily lives might be the key to recognizing the patterns that keep us stuck and ultimately finding a path to freedom. Who is Mara really? More than just a demon. So who exactly is this powerful figure, Mara? In Buddhist tradition, Mara is far more complex than a simple external evil. He's identified as the Lord of Death itself. His name, derived from the Sanskrit root M, literally means destroyer, related to the concept of die or disappear. This hints at a deeper meaning. Mara represents the death of the spirit through unskillful emotions. He embodies everything that keeps us trapped in cycles of suffering or samsara. But here's a crucial difference from figures like the Christian Satan. Mara isn't typically seen as a separate evil force locked in cosmic combat with a force of good. Instead, Buddhist teachings offer both a literal interpretation, seeing Mara as an entity existing in the Kama world, desire realm, where he rules the highest heaven, and a psychological interpretation. Drawing from deeper sources, we learn about the 4 types of Mara recognized in traditional Buddhism. This expands our understanding beyond just one entity. 1. Klesa Mara as the embodiment of all unskillful emotions like greed, hate, and delusion. These are the disruptive emotions. 2. Mrityumara Mara as death itself. This represents impermanence, change, and physical death, which can threaten our spiritual progress. 3. Skandamara. This is a more abstract concept. Mara as a metaphor for the entirety of conditioned existence, specifically our tendency to cling to the 5 aggregates, skandhas: form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, and see them as a permanent, real self. 4. Devaputra Mara. This is the celestial king Mara, the Deva's son, who tried to stop Buddha. He represents our spontaneous craving for sensual pleasure and favorable conditions in mundane pursuits. So, Mara isn't just a devil. He's also the voice in your head saying, just one more scroll, one more cookie. He's not after your soul in some afterlife. He wants your mind right now, seeking to steal your attention, your focus, your mental freedom. The fact that Mara rules from a heaven in the desire realm tells us something profound about Buddhist psychology. The most dangerous traps often disguise themselves as pleasures. There's a debate among scholars. Was Mara a literal demon or a personification of internal struggles? The key insight, however, is that it doesn't really matter. Whether a literal being or a powerful metaphor, Mara represents the forces, external and internal, that keep us from freedom. He is described as saturating every nook and cranny of samsaric existence. Think about a time you were determined to start a healthy habit, but something pulled you away, distracted you, made you doubt yourself. That was Mara at work. What makes Mara particularly potent? While figures like Satan tempt you to break rules, Mara tempts you to break promises to yourself. He wants to keep us ignorant and fuel the three fires: greed, anger, and ignorance, which keep us trapped in rebirth. In the Sutta Nipata, an ancient text, Buddha describes Mara as delighting in sensual pleasure, not because pleasure is inherently bad, but because getting lost in temporary pleasures prevents us from finding lasting happiness. Buddhist teachings offer a unique way to deal with this adversary. Buddha didn't prescribe worship or rituals. Instead, the radical teaching is to see him clearly, to recognize when our mind is being manipulated by desire or pulled by craving. As Buddha reportedly said, "I see you, Mara." This recognition cuts through his power. The Epic Showdown, Buddha under the Bodhi tree. This understanding of Mara is born from the most famous story in Buddhist tradition, Siddhartha Gautama's night under the Bodhi tree. The night he became the Buddha. He was on the verge of achieving complete enlightenment, freedom from suffering. This posed a direct threat to Mara, whose goal is to keep beings bound in the cycle of rebirth, samsara. As Alan Peto notes, Mara wants us to remain ignorant, creating karmic actions and clinging to things. He is, in a sense, the opposite of a Buddha. Mara couldn't allow Siddhartha to succeed. As Buddha sat in deep meditation, Mara unleashed everything. First, physical assaults, demon armies with weapons and fire, powerful storms, earthquakes. But Buddha remained completely unmoved, described as not even flinching. Arrows turned to flowers around him. When physical attacks failed, Mara tried a smarter tactic. He sent his 3 daughters, described in various legends as beautiful women, to tempt Siddhartha. These daughters, Tanhā, Arati, and Rāga, represented the 3 things humans can rarely resist: craving, boredom, aversion, and passion, lust. Ancient texts describe them appearing in different forms: alluring dancers, nurturing mothers, wise teachers. Whatever form would best succeed in pulling Buddha from his meditation. Their true power, however, wasn't just in their appearance, but in the mental states they evoked. Yet, Siddhartha was not fazed. He saw through them. He saw the true nature of all conditioned phenomena, that they are impermanent. Their physical beauty and attempts at luring him didn't work because he saw them for what they truly were. In a final attempt, Mara played a mind game. He claimed that the seat of enlightenment rightfully belonged to him, not to Siddhartha. Mara called his vast army as witnesses, asking Siddhartha, "Who will speak for you?" Siddhartha was alone, facing this immense challenge. And this is the pivotal moment. Siddhartha didn't fight back physically. He didn't even stand up. Instead, he performed one simple, profound gesture. While keeping one hand in meditation pose, he extended his right hand downward, fingertips brushing the earth. This is the Bhumisparsa Mudra, the earth witness gesture. With this touch, he connected himself to something immovable, authentic, and true. He was calling the earth itself as his witness, silently declaring, "I see you, Mara." It was his way of saying, "I belong here. I have the right to seek liberation. Nothing can stop me." The power wasn't in magic, but in Buddha's complete presence and awareness. As the story goes, when he touched the earth, Mara and his daughters couldn't maintain their illusions. The armies vanished. Their temptations lost power. Mara was defeated. Siddhartha Gautama achieved enlightenment, becoming the awakened one, the Buddha. Tanha, the grip of craving. While Mara himself represents these vast forces, his daughters are the specialists who apply his influence directly to our minds. Let's meet daughter number 1, Tanha. Her name literally means thirst or craving, and she might be the one we interact with most often, perhaps without realizing it. That powerful pull when you really want something, that feeling you won't be happy until you get it, that's Tanha working her magic. Ancient texts describe Tanha as the maker of the fetters that bind people to the cycle of rebirth. She's why you can't stop at one potato chip, why you crave just one more scroll or one more purchase. Buddha famously identified Tanha as the root cause of suffering in his Four Noble Truths. He pointed to craving as the biggest problem humans face. Why is wanting things considered so central to suffering? Buddha didn't say desire itself was bad. Healthy desires can motivate us. The problem is clinging to them. It's a subtle but vital difference. Wanting a new phone isn't wrong, but becoming convinced your happiness depends on it, checking prices obsessively, getting irritated while waiting, that's Tanha's hook. In the modern world, Tanha thrives. Social media is her playground, designed to trigger endless wanting. Every scroll, every ad, every influencer post is crafted to make you crave something you don't have. Modern science even shows that the dopamine hit we feel isn't from getting what we want, but from the anticipation, the wanting itself. Our brains are literally wired to keep wanting more, a perfect mechanism for Tanha's influence. Tanha's craving isn't just about possessions. She comes in 3 flavors. 1. Craving for sensual pleasures, the obvious desires for food, sex, comfort, material things. 2. Craving for existence, the desire to be someone, to achieve, to be important, to leave a mark, seen in career ambition or chasing social media validation. 3. Craving for non-existence, the desire to escape, numb out, or avoid feeling, manifesting as binge-watching, excessive drinking, or mindless scrolling. All 3 keep us trapped. Signs Tanha is influencing you include the "I'll be happy when" mindset, the constant itch to check your phone, or the feeling that what you have isn't enough. How do we deal with Tanha? Not by fighting or giving in, but by seeing the craving clearly and understanding its empty nature. As Buddha said in the Majjhima Nikaya, whatever in the world is pleasant and agreeable, toward this craving arises. Seeing its arising and passing away, as it actually is, that's the path to its cessation. Notice the craving without judgment or fear. Watch it rise and fade without acting. Try setting a timer for 10 minutes the next time a strong craving hits. Just observe the feeling. Many cravings fade when not fed. This practice reveals a crucial space between wanting and acting. That space? That's where your freedom lives. From the perspective of the 4 Maras, Tanha's influence directly relates to Devaputra Mara, the Mara of sensual pleasure and mundane pursuits, and Klesa Mara, the Mara of unskillful emotions which includes desire. Textual strategies to counter these, found in sutras like the Questions of Sagaramati, involve practices like cultivating generosity out of compassion for others and maintaining firm discipline. These practices redirect the energy of wanting towards virtuous action and away from selfish craving. Arati, the quiet discontent. Next is Mara's second daughter, Arati. Her name means boredom or discontent, and she's often described as quiet, but perhaps the most insidious. While Tanha makes you chase what you lack, Arati makes you dissatisfied with what you have. She's the voice whispering, "Is this all there is? This is boring. There must be something better." Buddha described her as a force creating restlessness and discontentment. You see her fingerprints everywhere today. Arati loves to strike when you try to be still. "This meditation is pointless," she murmurs. "You could be doing something productive. Anything would be better than this emptiness." When was the last time you simply sat quietly without any stimulation? It's hard, right? That discomfort? That's Arati. A striking study at the University of Virginia found people preferred giving themselves electric shocks to sitting alone with their thoughts for just 15 minutes. Actual physical pain seemed better than boredom. Arati has definitely leveled up in the smartphone era. That automatic urge to grab your phone during any unoccupied moment. An elevator, commercials, even the bathroom. That's her work. The average person checks their phone about 150 times a day, not out of necessity, but to avoid the perceived emptiness of the present moment. Buddha recognized this ancient human tendency, calling it abhijapa, a mental restlessness preventing peace of mind. We bounce between craving and aversion, wanting and rejecting, rarely content with just being. Arati particularly targets meditation, bringing thoughts of pointlessness, fidgeting, checking the clock. The Buddha didn't condemn boredom. He focused on our reaction to it. In the Satipatthana Sutta, his teaching on mindfulness, he says, "When the mind has restlessness, one knows, my mind has restlessness." This simple awareness starts to dissolve Arati's power. Her game relies on you not noticing her influence, on your discontent feeling natural, driving you automatically towards distraction. Next time that itchy boredom arises, try something radical. Don't distract yourself. Get curious about the feeling. Where is it in your body? What does it actually feel like to be bored? Is it truly unbearable? Neuroscience suggests this boredom avoidance habit reduces focus and creativity. Practices like Zen's just sitting or Vipassana body scanning are essentially Arati resistance training. True contentment comes from within, not constant stimulation. There is no higher happiness than peace, Buddha said. Peace is freedom from being controlled by the fear of boredom. Connecting Arati to the four maras, her influence is strongly linked to Skandha Mara, the mara of conditioned existence and clinging to the aggregates. The restlessness of Arati stems from our discomfort with the ever-changing nature of reality, the aggregates, and our inability to simply be with the present moment. Defeating Skandha Mara involves understanding the illusory nature of phenomena, comprehending suffering, and realizing emptiness. It also involves mindfulness of the body and mindfulness of mental phenomena. These practices, by grounding us in present awareness and dismantling the illusion of a solid, unchanging self, the aggregates, directly counter Arati's restlessness and reveal the richness of the present moment. Rāga, the fire of passion. Finally, we meet Mara's third daughter, potentially his secret weapon, Rāga. Her name translates to passion or lust. Rāga is often misunderstood. It's not just about sexual desire, though that's included. Buddha used Rāga to mean any fiery, intense attachment that clouds our judgment. That rush of intense attraction, the burning need for recognition, the passionate conviction you're right and others are wrong, that's Rāga doing her thing. In the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha says, just as a tree cut down sprouts again if its roots remain unharmed, suffering repeatedly arises as long as the tendency of passion is not rooted out. While Tanha and Arati often make us feel bad, Rāga makes us feel good, sometimes so good we lose ourselves. Unlike craving, wanting what we don't have, or boredom, not wanting what we have, Rāga is about getting lost in what we're intensely experiencing right now. Again, Buddha wasn't against passion itself. He warned against becoming a slave to passion. Healthy desire moves us forward. Rāga's trap makes us obsessed. Think of times you were completely controlled by intense jealousy, infatuation, or blinding anger. Did you make wise decisions? Probably not. Our society often worships passion. Follow your passion, live passionately. But Buddha offered nuance. Intense feelings are powerful but passing, like weather. Building life around chasing emotional highs is like trying to warm yourself with lightning. Rāga works through obvious channels today: dating apps, political anger that divides us, celebrity worship, the relentless hustle culture. Buddha compared our sensory experiences to a fire in the fire sermon. Not something to fear, but to understand as impermanent and ultimately unsatisfying when clung to. How do we deal with Rāga? Suppression doesn't work. The path is developing a mindful relationship with it. When intense emotions arise, observe them with friendly curiosity. Oh, there's anger, there's attraction. No judging, no feeding, just seeing clearly. Buddha taught guarding the sense doors, staying aware of how sights, sounds, etc. affect your mind. A simple practice: when passion arises, pause. Take 3 breaths. Notice where you feel it in your body. This creates a tiny space for wisdom. The Rāga says, "From passion springs grief, from passion springs fear." For one who is wholly free from passion, there is no grief, much less fear. The goal isn't to be emotionless, but to achieve freedom from emotions governing us, rather than uncontrolled freedom of emotions. Interestingly, Rāga is perhaps the daughter whose energy can be most easily transformed. Passionate energy, guided by wisdom, can fuel compassion, creativity, and spiritual awakening. Some traditions speak of transforming poison into medicine, using passion's energy without its control. Rāga is also closely tied to Klesa, the Mara of disruptive emotions, as intense passion often falls under this category, especially when it leads to anger, hatred, or delusion. Textual strategies from the questions of Sagaramati to pacify Klesa focus on meditation on bodhicitta, cultivating loving-kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. They also recommend abandoning criticism and aggression and cultivating patience, which are direct antidotes to the negative aspects of Rāga's fire. The Buddha's victory, awareness, is the key. Let's return to that moment under the Bodhi tree. Buddha faced Mara's armies and his seductive daughters. What he did was revolutionary. He didn't fight. His victory wasn't through power over Mara, but through complete awareness. He saw Mara, saw his illusions, saw his daughters for the transient, conditioned phenomena they were. Buddha left us a roadmap to achieve our own victory over Mara and his daughters. The core practice is mindfulness, clear, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. Modern science confirms its power. Studies show mindfulness changes brain activity related to craving and emotional reactivity and is more effective than willpower for breaking habits. This simple awareness defeats each daughter. For Tanhā, craving, awareness reveals the empty nature of wanting. We see the mind's story, "This will make me happy," and choose not to believe it. For Arati, boredom, awareness reveals the richness of the present moment. Paying close attention makes even boring experiences interesting. For Rāga, passion, awareness creates space between the feeling and our reaction. We feel the heat without being burned, experience desire without being controlled. Buddha's instruction in the Satipatthana Sutta is profound in its simplicity. When walking, know I am walking. When standing, know I am standing. When sitting, know I am sitting. When lying down, know I am lying down. This isn't just labeling. It's bringing full awareness to every moment, leaving no room for Mara's influences to slip in unnoticed. As Buddha famously said, all that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world ***. Our thoughts create our reality. When we see clearly, without the distortions of craving, boredom, or blind passion, we experience freedom. Mara's influence is often described through the 5 hindrances that obstruct meditation and wisdom: sensual desire, ill will, sloth, restlessness, and doubt. Sensual desire is Mara's realm, but the others also manifest his tactics. Buddha's victory shows us how to counter these hindrances not by suppressing them, but by cultivating awareness and wisdom. Victory over Mara isn't a one-time event, it's a moment-by-moment practice. Even after enlightenment, Mara still appeared to Buddha. The difference was, Buddha could always see him clearly. "I see you, Mara." This is what victory looks like in real life. Not the absence of temptation, but the presence of awareness that gives us choice. Practices like the Eightfold Path, right understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration are described as counters to Mara's influence. leading away from the karmic actions that fuel samsara. Obstacles and the 4 Maras, practical challenges. Going deeper into the texts, Mara's influence manifests in many ways beyond the 3 daughters, and the concept of the 4 Maras helps us categorize these challenges. A discourse in the King of the Array of All Dharma Qualities Sutra, spoken by Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, lists specific obstacles created by the deeds of Mara for practitioners. These include laziness, lack of faith, lack of reverence for the master, a wandering mind when teaching or practicing Dharma, having no interest in the company of spiritual friends, not reflecting properly, arrogance in speech, being besieged by worldly thinking, such as believing there's no karmic retribution, thinking you're smart or invincible. These are Mara's deeds, trying to prevent spiritual progress. Mara is our principal nemesis, disrupting our quest for nirvana by stirring up insecurity, anxiety, and dissatisfaction related to samsara's defects. He thrives when we surrender to the delusion of our own making, stemming from our attachment to a fabricated view of the self. Understanding the 4 Maras allows for targeted practice. Skandamara, aggregates/conditioned existence. This is Mara representing our clinging to the illusion of a permanent self and reality. His influence creates discomfort with impermanence, leading to Arati-like restlessness. Klasamara, disruptive emotion. This is Mara as the sum of our negative emotions, greed, hatred, delusion. Tanha, craving, and Rāga, passion/anger, are manifestations of this Mara type. This Mara persuades us to project our defects onto others. Mrityumara, death. This is Mara as impermanence itself. His influence creates fear around change, loss, and death. Devaputramara, Deva's son. This is the celestial tempter, strongly linked to Tanha's craving for sensual pleasure and favorable conditions. His influence sabotages virtue by promoting attachment to mundane pursuits. The influences of Mara are described as imperceptible but also undeniable. When we don't see Mara, whether as entity or internal force, he has control. Defeating Mara, textual strategies. So, how do we actively counter these specific influences? Buddhist texts offer detailed methods. The questions of Sagaramati Sutra provide strategies for defeating each of the 4 Maras. Drawing from these profound teachings, summarized in the Pathgate Institute source, here are some key approaches. Defeating Skandamara, Mara of the contaminated aggregates. This Mara is defeated by practices that undermine our clinging to the illusion of a solid self and conditioned reality. Key applications include reflecting on the illusory nature of phenomena, comprehending suffering, recognizing mental formations as suffering, realizing the emptiness of all phenomena, and perfecting mindfulness of the body without conceptual attachment. These practices weaken our false identification with the impermanent aggregates, the source of Skandamara's power. Meditation on the 3 entrances to liberation, emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness, is also a perfect remedy. Defeating Klasamara, Mara of disruptive emotion. This Mara is pacified by transforming or abandoning negative emotions. A primary remedy is meditation on bodhicitta, cultivating the awakening mind rooted in love and compassion. When we examine emotions with the clarity of bodhicitta, we see they are self-induced and lack inherent reality. Cultivating the 4 immeasurables, loving-kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity, dissolves negative states. Practices like perfecting patience and abandoning criticism and aggression are also crucial. Defeating Mrityumara, Mara of the Lord of Death. This Mara, representing impermanence and death, is overcome by progressing on the spiritual path to a state beyond the cycle of rebirth. By attaining the ultimate goal on the path of cessation and entering non-abiding nirvana, one goes beyond the reach of death and suffering. This involves cultivating diligence and reflection aimed at understanding and eliminating this Mara. Defeating Devaputramara, Mara of the Deva's son. This Mara of sensual pleasure and mundane desire is defeated by practices that counteract attachment to favorable conditions and external pursuits. This includes terminating all imputations made out of pride, actualizing the path of liberation, recognizing nirvana as peace, practicing generosity out of compassion, perfecting discipline to help oneself and others, perfecting diligence to uphold the Dharma lineage, employing insight into dependent origination, and realizing all phenomena are unconditioned. Relying on single-pointed samadhi without attachment to allure also helps pass beyond this Mara's influence. Bodhisattva endeavors are described as an amalgamation of practices like mindfulness, relying on a spiritual guru, renunciation, having few desires, and perfecting generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, concentration, and insight. These practices collectively strengthen the practitioner against Mara's various influences. Deeper meaning, teachers in disguise. This brings us to the fascinating twist I mentioned earlier. What if Mara and his daughters aren't just enemies? What if they are actually our greatest teachers in disguise? Tanha, Craving, doesn't just cause suffering. She reveals where we are still attached. Each craving points precisely to what we need to examine within ourselves. The stronger the wanting, the more important the lesson. Arati, boredom/discontent, doesn't just create discomfort. She invites us into the present moment. Her restlessness challenges us to look beyond distraction and discover the depths within. The very spaces we try to avoid might contain our deepest insights. Rāga, passion/lust, doesn't just cloud judgment. She shows us the immense power of our own energy. Her fire, when recognized and channeled with wisdom, transforms into the warmth of compassion and the light of awakening. Mara himself, as the principal nemesis and lord of illusion, highlights the defects of samsara. By showing us the suffering caused by clinging, craving, and ignorance, he reveals the urgency and necessity of the Dharma path. Overcoming Mara's influence, particularly Skandamara, clinging to aggregates, and Klasamara, negative emotions, is about transcending the fabricated view of the self, recognizing that the self, Mara, tries to ensnare with temptation and fear is not ultimately real or permanent. The daughters and Mara aren't just obstacles on the path, they are the path itself. These challenges are the training ground where we build our spiritual strength. As a Zen master put it, no mud, no lotus. Without these challenges, there's no growth. So, the next time you feel craving, restlessness, or intense passion, try seeing it differently. Instead of a failure, see it as an opportunity to practice awareness, to apply these textual strategies, to touch the earth, and remember the Buddha's victory. Mara's power only works when we don't see him clearly. The moment we recognize him, we begin to gain choice and freedom. The debate about whether Mara is a literal demon or a metaphor doesn't change the practice. The method is the same. Recognize them, name them, don't fight them, don't follow them, just see them clearly. This simple recognition cuts their power dramatically. Like a solid rock unshakable by wind, with practice, we develop stability. Different Buddhist traditions view Mara through different lenses. Theravada sees Mara as the 5 aggregates binding us. Mahayana sees him as empty of inherent existence. Vajrayana sees his energies as transformable into enlightened awareness. But across traditions, awareness and wisdom are the keys. So, wisdom seekers, which of Mara's daughters visits you most often? Is it Tanhā's endless wanting, Arati's restless boredom, or Rāga's consuming passion? Or perhaps you recognize the influence of Klasamara in negative emotions, Skandamara in clinging, Kumara in fear of change, or Devaputramara in chasing pleasure. The daughters of Mara, the influences of Mara, are everywhere, in our phones, our minds, our daily lives. But with awareness, their temptations truly become our teachers. The greatest superpower isn't magic or strength. It's simply seeing clearly. Remember the core practice derived from Buddha's victory. Pause. Breathe. Notice. Recognize the influence. Name it, and see it clearly for what it is. Impermanent. Empty of inherent power unless we feed it. This moment of awareness creates the space for freedom. Keep your eyes open. Practice seeing clearly, moment by moment. That is the path to victory over Mara and his ancient, yet modern, mind games. Share your experience with Mara's daughters or any of his influences in the comments below. Which one do you recognize most in your life? If you found value in this exploration, help others discover these insights by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with someone facing their own battle with Mara's challenges. Reminding you that your awareness is your freedom.